is the Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank everybody for joining us for today's event. This is a new event. It's called 10 Capital Connect. And I was actually talking to Martin Tobias and Andy Fragasi, who are here today with us, about what they were doing. And they, along with almost every other investor I've talked to in the last 6 months, have been working on applying AI to investment and how to use it to screen, analyze, match, do whatever you want to do with it. And everybody's got some really cool tools going on out there, and said, well, I want to come up with an event that lets people come together to show what they've done with it and get feedback from others in the room. And we'll have some pitches along the way. We have a few more investors coming in that will be here as well. And so that's what today's event is about. It's about raising funding and also about looking at what you can do with AI for the tools. I think everybody here is doing something with it, and looking forward to people's feedback on this as well as the presentations. But for those who don't know us, I see a number of new faces in the room. 10 Capital helps startups and investors connect for funding. Been doing this since 2009. Over $1 billion raise, over 850 companies have gone through the program. At heart, we help startups and investors connect for funding, coach on fundraise strategy, evaluations, campaign prep, as well as investor engagement and introductions. In short, we provide the legwork, saving you time and money for running your business. We also form capital for the early stage ecosystem. We help high net worths start family offices as they fund emerging managers. We help VC funds find limited partners because they mostly get that from our family offices. And then we also help angel groups find members. We've helped over 35 angel groups find members for their group. And that's how we roll, is we just try to get more capital available for the early stage systems as well. We have multiple events each month. We are continuing to grow them because we find more and more interactions lead to better outcomes with the companies. So we are continuing to add more to this list, but we do have a quick pitch, which is for tech companies, a life science event, which is a syndication where we have our devices, diagnostic therapeutic companies pitch. And then we have an investor education series. We have an investor come in and give us a topic, as well as have companies pitch. And then we do in-person events as well. These are what I call speed match events, 5-minute pitch, and then 15 minutes with each investor group in the room. So this is what we do here to help people raise funding. If you want to learn more about our events, just go to 10capital.group/events, and you'll be able to look at all the events we have coming up. This is the 10 Capital team. There are almost about 10 people now in the program, and we are now expanding our program into the MENA region. So we're having good luck there with finding additional capital for our companies. If you're interested in looking at the Middle East, let us know. We've got about 125 investors on the list. We've done a couple of events already. They're lining up for another one June 9th. These are virtual events where people come together to pitch. We've also launched a Substack newsletter called 10 Capital Connect. That was part of this effort of helping with AI. If you want to learn more about how to use AI in startup investing and funding, take a picture of that QR code and you can sign up for it for free. If you want to buy the prompts, you're welcome to as well, but you can get a lot of information just off the free version as well. And then let's go to the next one. If you are looking to raise funding, take a picture of that QR code, fill out the form, and we'll follow up to see if this program is a good fit for you. And with that, let's go around the room and let's meet some of the investors in the room that we have with us today. Let's start off with Andy Fragasi. Andy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work?
Sure. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. Basically, projects that I've done account directly for about north of $2 billion. And some of those companies are still in existence, still going in projects. But my background includes setting up distribution across Europe in my 20s. I also got my MBA from the University of Texas at Austin, as well as an undergraduate degree at Texas A&M. I was part of Power Computing, which was probably one of the first major e-commerce startups in the area and in the United States, and the first company to hit $1 billion in annual revenue. I founded my own company in about 2003 in Austin called PartsTree.com. It was selling parts online. I grew it to about 20 million in revenue, sold it, and then have been helping founders and mentors and basically accelerators and such figure out how to build their businesses and grow. Even took one company to help one company go to Shark Tank. So that's my background. Now I'm codifying kind of my stuff so other people can follow it.
Great. Thank you for that, Martin. Can you tell us about yourself and your work?
Yeah, hi, I'm Martin. I'm the managing partner of Incisive Ventures. I was a 3 times venture funded CEO, took 2 companies public. I'm an LP in 17 funds. I did about 250 angel investments before I started my own funds. I'm a B2B software pre-seed fund. I write $250,000 to $500,000 checks into 2 guys and a dog or girls, I don't care. And I was the first investor in DocuSign. And that's a perfect example of take a business process, do it better in software. I'm looking for more companies like that. I've done 75 investments and 6 of them turned into unicorns in the last 5 years. So that's what I do, B2B software pre-seed. And I have 2
Great.
companies in Austin.
Great. Thanks you for that. Chris Looney, can you tell us about yourself and your work?
So I'm Chris Looney. The last 20 years, I've been worked with Emergent Technologies. Good to see you all. We've worked with Emergent Technologies out in Bee Cave. I am here today supporting Andy and Tenacious founder.
Great. Thanks for that. Cortland, can you tell us about yourself and your work?
Sure. I'm Cortland Emmel, CEO of Sudical Labs. We're in Dallas. We've been around for 21 years. We definitely help a number of startups get through FDA as well as some funding.
Great. Thanks for that. And Chris Reynolds, can you tell us about yourself and your work?
Frank Reynolds. I'm with RCB Frontline. We're early stage VC investors in food and beverage brands and companies. We have exit from Drizzly, Good Crisp, and a few others. We'll be raising for Fund 2 soon, but we're still deploying from Fund 1.
That sounds great. Thanks for that, guys. We may have a few more coming, but let's go ahead and kick off the first presenter. What we're going to do today is have each company do a 10-minute pitch, 10-minute Q&A, and then we're going to have a 10-minute presentation from Andy Fragasi about his work with AI. I'd love to have everybody's feedback on that as well. With that, we have Healthy for Life, Pete DeFerrari. Pete, we see your slides, so kick off when ready.
All right, thanks all. Hey, everybody. Andy, this may be a little boring for you, my friend. I think you've seen this a couple of times now. I'll try to liven it up, tell more jokes, but hopefully the message still is important because we're talking about good health and well-being here. Topic of discussion is Jaka rare sugar. Jaka is technically called allulose, which we'll dive into in some detail. But I think the most important thing to take away from the next 10 minutes, folks, is that Jaka is actually a sugar. It's a monosaccharide. So it's got the same molecular composition as sucrose, the sugar we grew up with, but it's got molecules affixing themselves together in different groupings. And that literally changes it from a poison into a superfood. And we'll discuss. So sugar's killing us and we know it, right? $22 billion industry, and it's the source of metabolic disease, asthma, liver disease, hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, the list goes on. And unfortunately, as we're seeing in the news now, the alternatives are proving to be more dangerous. If the solution is worse than the problem itself, then we really got an issue here. When we talk about a $22 billion industry domestically, we're actually looking at global expansion as we speak in the MENA region, Middle East, North Africa, which is over 100 billion. What's really interesting to me is the allulose submarket. So last year at this time, the allulose total market was valued at $50 million and it only had a 10% CAGR. Fast forward 12 months, so this is not even projected future. Current state of 2026, the allulose industry is 450 million with a 32.3% CAGR. Now, I personally have not seen a CAGR of over 30% outside of tech in a long time, and I've built a couple of tech companies in the past. So I think we've got a really unique and blue ocean opportunity here to make ourselves the Jaka of the allulose world, like Splenda owns the sucralose world, like Equal owns the aspartame world, like Sweet and Low owns the saccharin world. That's really the vision here. We've got all of the formulaic badges you would want with this super sugar. And it's really fascinating that you've got a keto-friendly, diabetic-friendly, non-GMO, vegan, halal, kosher, Proposition 65 compliant super sugar that less than 15% of Americans have ever heard of, according to the International Food Information Council. So very little known here in America. The awareness gap is actually closer to 100% throughout the rest of the world, except for Japan. And we'll talk about Japan in a minute. But what I do want to talk about is the bottom row across this slide, because upon ingestion, Allulose has been proven in randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled human trials to activate GLP-1. Now, we all know what GLP-1 is because of Ozempic. It controls appetite. It's got hormones in the intestinal tract with receptors in the hypothalamus and the brainstem where signals are sent and it tells you that you're full. It tells you that you're not hungry anymore. Unlike conventional sugar, which has been clinically proven to be 10 times more addictive than cocaine. So you've got a non-addictive sugar sweetener that actually tastes like sugar because it is a sugar, actually bakes like sugar, actually cooks like sugar because it is a sugar. Also activates CPT1 and CPT2 enzymes, which burn body fat. So again, you've got huge metabolic benefits and huge physiological benefits for this super sugar with a 32.3% CAGR that nobody in America knows about. Look at the country of Japan. Japan's got a 4% obesity rate as a country. I think they're the healthiest culture in the world. We're closer to 70. They use this sugar in almost 10,000 products. There's 30 years of clinical trial data behind this sugar. Kagawa University in Japan, one of the most reputable universities in that country in association with the Japanese government. Kyungpook University in South Korea, in association with the South Korean government. Stable democracies, ton of clinical trials going back 30 years testifying to the merits of this ingredient. Our statistics, we launched a year ago. We're in our third round. When we closed our second round, it enabled us to launch about a year ago. Our KPIs are strong, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I think some of that's due to Howie. Howie Mandel, America's dad, is a partner of ours. He's been fantastic, contributed to 3,000. He helped us get 3,000 television commercial placements and streaming commercial placements and podcast placements. So really advantageous for us where we've got an education awareness problem for the sugar and where we're trying to establish Jaka as the category killer, as the thought leader, as the dominant brand. When we look at these stats, 46% repeat purchase rate. Half our revenue comes from repeat purchases. It's an aha moment. When you eat this sugar and it tastes like sugar, you're done. It solves the problem. 77% of Americans are trying to decrease their sugar intake, but sugar is still preferred 4-1 due to taste. So we know it's killing us, but we like it because it tastes better. You look at our conversion rates, 24%, 9% above the industry averages. We've got subscriptions that have 5x in the last 4 months. We've got very compelling KPIs, and I attribute a lot of that also to our AI infrastructure, which we're going to talk about in a second. Naturally, we've got B2B and distribution as well. We've got co-brand partners. We've got private label partners shipping metric tons at a time. What's really interesting is at the bottom of the slide, we now have a 1,500 territory distribution network where we are going to be providing the Jaka SKUs through that system. So it gives us a huge way to create brand awareness with increasing autonomy because it costs next to nothing. We really consider ourselves a health and well-being company. Because of the metabolic benefits and the physiological advantages of this sugar, we think that people can use this sugar as the linchpin to find a trajectory of good health and well-being. So we put our money where our mouth is. We don't just want to push pedal sugar. We've got something here when we can be burning body fat, controlling appetite. It's diabetic friendly, it's keto friendly, it tastes like sugar. So to that end, we've got a podcast series, health and well-being focused. We're about 45 episodes deep now. No subscription fees. I don't want money for it. I want people to get healthy. We spent a year developing 4 health and well-being modules. Nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, mindset, downloadable for free on the website. I don't want any money for it. I want people to get healthy. We established a 501c3, which is the Foundation for Nutritional Equality, helping the 14 million kids that don't eat every day, like me. That's a big part of the reason why I got into this business and left real estate development was because I come from the gutter. My dad was killed when I was 10 years old, and I spent a huge chunk of my life not eating every day. And I swore if I ever found a way where I could help people find better health and well-being and do it on the grand scale, that I would jump. And that's why I left real estate development, where I was putting in residential subdivisions across 4 states and doing pretty well in my 50s. So we've got really an occasion where we can be helping families and helping individuals and helping heads of households across the board find that better health. And that's really what we're tailored towards. I talked about our AI infrastructure. We're actually in the top 0.04% globally for what we're doing with AI. We go well beyond just using agents. It's running, not just running portions of the company, but we've got AI engines out on the internet that are capturing intent, capturing demand, capturing views, and pointing people to the website, which is really compelling because what they're saying now is customer acquisition costs in the social media world because of the onslaught of AI have gone up 263%. So the social media formula that has always worked in the past, X ad dollars times Y KPIs equals Z revenue, that linear formula is gone. It's on its head because Instagram's now getting 200 billion views a day with AI. Instagram's seeing 1 billion posts a day with AI. Gartner saying 90% of content is AI generated. You've got to find other ways to capture demand, and we're doing it through these AI engines that are out there constantly polling. We've also got a patent. We have identified a way to manufacture Jaka cleanly with 25x less byproduct, less waste. We are a pending B Corp, so we take ESG very, very seriously. And the fact that we've been able to create a method by which you can extract allulose from fructose with 25x less than the leading competitor, and that's Tate & Lyle. They're a manufacturer out of Europe. This is something that I think gets a ton of value, but it also sticks with our core mission, which is doing the right thing. My partner and I have done this before. I've known him for just about 40 years. We built our first company when we were young punks in our 20s. We built 3 tech companies through to Liquidity Event. Then we went into real estate development. We did a couple $100 million in PTI across subdivisions and commercial projects in 4 states, including Florida, Nashville, Tennessee, and Mississippi, Alabama. So got a long history together. We know what each other's thinking, and it's worked out really well for us. For the rest of it, we enjoy the Mr. Wonderful school of thought with staffing. So nobody is full-time. Everybody is probationary, and we outsource as much as we can. That keeps my total cost of workforce 90% lower. I'm not faced with trigger days or mental health days or vacations, and it enables me to get a team of people. I get an accounting team instead of an accountant. I get a social marketing team instead of a social marketing manager. It's been incredibly effective, not only by lowering total cost of workforce, but if something happens, I have the ability to make 2 phone calls. I fire one best of breed company and I hire another best of breed company, and I just move from team to team. This has proven to be very economical for us. And I was happy the day I saw that TikTok when Mr. Wonderful validated it about 9 months after I started doing it. I think we've got a pretty stout advisory board. Dr. Rona Applebaum, Chief Science Officer at Coca-Cola. She was there first. She's a monster in the space, world-renowned juggernaut, my favorite advisor by far. She's been just such a trusted source. Dr. Tom Moran is the inventor of craisins for Ocean Spray, PhD from Cornell, and he basically catapulted Ocean Spray from a juice company into a food products company. We've got some guys that specialize in tech. John Majeski's had 4 or 5 exits with HP, which comes in particularly importantly in light of what we're trying to do with tech. John Crane went to Southeast Asia about 25 years ago and started the Southeast Asian base of operations for JP Morgan. He's a Wharton guy. So he advised us with regard to our financials, our vision, setting us up for acquisition and or IPO as the case may be. We're projected to do some massive revenue, and that's because we're going to mainstream this product. There are no commercials on TV for allulose. There are no streaming channel commercials on TV for allulose, except for us with Howie. This is the time to capture this market before it even exists. This enables us to become the Splenda. It enables us to become the Equal, enables us to become the Sweet and Low. 70% of our $5 million raises on advertising, both social media ads and infomercials, streaming channels, and commercial and regular television commercials. And then, of course, 13% is new SKUs, and the rest is as you'd expect. So we're raising $5 million to $20 million pre, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great presentation, Pete. Let's just go around the room and have everybody ask a question. Andy, what's your question?
Not a specific question, but I just wanted to let everybody know that my coffee right here was sweetened with this product because I got some the last time that Pete was there, and it's great. I use it. It's no fat. I mean, no calories, and it sweetens just perfectly.
You are not a plant. You need to disclose, full disclosure. He is not a plant, folks. That was of his own volition.
Great. Thanks for that. Martin, what question did you have?
Well, I'm not a CPG investor, but I am a big fan of allulose, and I've been buying it for years. I'm a little confused. The examples you gave of Splenda and all of that, they own the patent on their chemical ingredient, and you don't own the patent on allulose. You are just a manufacturer. What is your proprietary advantage in allulose? Anybody can buy it today already.
Well, Splenda does not own the only patent for the manufacture of sucralose, and aspartame and Equal doesn't own the only patent for the manufacture of aspartame. Everybody's that's got unique manufacturing IP to come up with the same end product has the ability to establish themselves. The only difference is you've heard mostly of Splenda because they're the ones that scaled it right and marketed it right. And I could share with you the use cases behind it because it's really pretty interesting how Splenda came into a market that was 90% owned by Equal and took over. It's an incredible case study. But so my point is, yeah, there are other allulose manufacturers out there. And depending upon your level of IP and how you're novel, there are many ways to be novel. It's really all about who seizes the opportunity to become the thought leader and the dominant brand. And that's what we intend to do.
Cortland, what's your question?
And reviewing this and your focus on health of the end consumer, have you pursued anything on a medical foods type of avenue in order to gain additional claims for your product?
That's a fantastic question. And I'll share with you what's a big blip on our radar screen. And this goes back to becoming the Splenda of allulose, right? So all of the clinical trials that I referenced, they are legitimate. Again, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled human trials, reputable universities in association with reputable democracies. However, there's very little, if any, clinical IP domestically here in America. And so I have got a keen interest in replicating those clinical trials here domestically. And the beauty of that is, Cortland, I already know how they're going to turn out. I already know CPT1 is activated. I already know that GLP-1 is activated. I already know synthase and carboxylase are activated because we've got solid trials. So my vision is to replicate those studies here to establish that clinical trial AP base, which again is going to add to the evaluation, add to the thought leadership, add to the dominant brand component. And the beautiful part about that is Rona, Dr. Applebaum, she went to Wisconsin, but when I talked to her, she's like, Pete, when you're ready for trials, I'll call the provost at Emory. I'll call the provost at USC. I'll call Wisconsin. We'll get you in there for a trial and it won't cost you $1 million. Just tell me when to make the phone call. So big blip on my radar screen. Just got to get some cash in the door here to be able to do it right because I got to execute all the way over the goal line on those things.
Great. And with that, let's go to Chris Reynolds. Chris, you're a CPG investor. What are your thoughts here?
Well, a few questions first. I apologize. This was covered in other material, but what is the form of the raise?
It's a $5 million. It's $5 million in equity for 20% of the company at a $20 million pre-money.
Great. Do you have a lead yet?
I don't have a lead. I'm pretty new in this round, sir. We are about, well, shit. How long have I been with you? Because that's when it started, Halls. At about 45 or 60 days?
That's about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hall's had me in LA, Dallas, Austin. I'm going back to Dallas. So he's really been running me ragged. So we just began and I'm still actively looking for that strategic partner.
Understood. And what year do you see as being year one to begin to reach that revenue projection?
Great question. The year one is when the $5 million gets deployed. That's when we're able to do what we want to do with regard to advertising on the grand scale. And so we've got one, and you can appreciate this because you're a CPG investor, so you understand the dynamics of reaching an audience. We spec'd all of that out in accordance with having to reach a 5 million person audience base because that's where the economies of scale kick in. So as we built these cash flow models, these projections, along with how much money we needed to raise in order to effectuate, we looked at 5 million person audiences and how frequently we would have to run in those different models in order to obtain these revenue numbers. So how often do we need to run a series of commercials on mainstream TV channels? How often do we need to run commercials on streaming TV channels, on YouTube channels? How often do we need to run the infomercials in order to meet those audience metrics so that we can be substantiating these numbers in good conscience?
What you'd be doing is educating the consumer on this ingredient, but then you'd be selling the ingredient to manufacturers.
Basically, we are it. So we're Jaka. We intend to take over the allulose space. There's no thought leader. And so the vision, because there's such a awareness gap at this point, the vision is to build the brand. We're importing it right now from Southeast Asia. The vision, we did all of our market segmentation and planning work with Gary Vaynerchuk, VaynerMedia. So we decided we didn't want to wait to put up a plant because that's going to take every bit of 2 years. And we've got a huge opportunity. So the vision was start to build the brand as an importer, scale the Jaka brand, increase education awareness. We've got a 100% pure allulose, very high quality product. In the meantime, we've got the patent for manufacturing. We're doing site selection. We can bring manufacturing up on the back end. And then once the two meet, then it's over. We own the chain. And you know, that's how we ride off into the sunset, as it were.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure.
Great. And with that, that's our 20 minutes. Thank you guys for great questions and great presentation, Pete. With that, let's move to our next presenter, Nolius. Swana, if you'd like to kick off your slides when ready. Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.